Prince Harry and Invictus. His games could get cancelled.
Now, this is seismic.
It is such an honor to be here tonight, celebrating all of you and supporting my husband in the Invictus Games, which he founded 4 years ago.
First, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to the Invictus Games 2025 Organizing Committee for their sheer passion and hard work in making these extraordinary games possible.
The moment he said this was just the beginning, the cameras caught the smile, but what they didn't catch was the number sitting behind that sentence like a ticking clock. Over 33 million missing, 15 months left, and a system quietly starting to crack from the inside. That's the real story. Not the speeches, not the headlines, the gap, the silence around it. And the question nobody standing on that stage answered: what happens when the money doesn't come? Because right now, 500 veterans from 23 nations are training, pushing their bodies, rebuilding their lives, believing they are heading toward Birmingham 2027. They don't see the spreadsheets. They don't see the locked funding. They don't see the internal exits. And that's where this turns from a public event into something far more dangerous, a disconnect between what is promised and what is actually secured. The phrase government-backed was supposed to silence doubt. 26 million. Strong, reassuring, repeated everywhere. But buried behind that headline is a condition no one emphasized. That money isn't sitting ready, it's locked. Released in stages. Only unlocked if private funding rises alongside it. And as of mid-2026, only 3 million has actually been released. 23 million is still frozen, waiting for proof that hasn't come yet. Now pause there. Because this changes everything. It means the safety net everyone believed in isn't actually there. It means the foundation isn't backed, it's being tested. And that test depends on private sponsors stepping in. But when you look at that side of the equation, something else starts to unravel. Vancouver 2025 had 44 corporate partners. Birmingham 2027 has 11. That's not a drop, it's a collapse in confidence. And those 11 sponsors, they're contributing around 4 million, with some of that not even cash, but services. So now, run the numbers again. 3 million released, 4 million in sponsorship. Against a 40 million budget, that's 7 million secured, and over 33 million missing. And still no public explanation of how that gap closes. No roadmap, no timeline, no emergency strategy, just silence. And then comes the detail that quietly shifts this from financial strain to something more strategic. Boeing. Not just any sponsor, a co-presenting sponsor. A company that gave Invictus credibility, scale, weight. In 2023, they announced a long-term partnership. It sounded permanent, stable, reassuring, but the timeline told a different story. The deal ran through 2026. Birmingham 2027 sits just beyond that. And Boeing is gone. Now, ask the uncomfortable question: was that timing coincidence or a planned exit? Because when a company like Boeing leaves, it doesn't just leave quietly. It triggers internal reviews across every other sponsor. It forces a question into every boardroom. What did they see that we didn't? And that's how the domino effect starts. Not publicly, not dramatically. Quietly, one hesitation at a time. Until 44 sponsors becomes 11. And even among those 11, only Deloitte stands visibly at partner level, and even that contribution is partly services, not cash. So now the structure looks thinner, more fragile, more exposed. And just as that pressure builds, another piece falls: Australia. Because this wasn't a budget cut. This was a choice. In 2026, Australia removed $9 million from Invictus funding. But at the exact same time, it increased defense spending by $14 billion and invested over $770 million into veteran support programs. So veterans weren't cut. Invictus was. That distinction matters because it signals intent. And then the context tightens further. During Harry and Meghan's Australia visit under the Invictus banner, questions surfaced quietly at first about security, about whether taxpayer-funded resources were used during what was described as a private trip. Those questions were never fully answered, but the funding decision came after. And suddenly, That silence doesn't feel neutral anymore. Now step back and look at the pattern forming. A conditional government pledge, a shrinking sponsor base, a major corporate exit, and now a national government pulling out entirely. And just when it feels like the situation can't tighten further, it does. Because the host city itself is unstable. Birmingham, the second largest city in the UK, the chosen stage for 2027. And in September 2023, it declared effective bankruptcy through a Section 114 notice. Not one issue. 3 converging crises. An $87 million annual deficit, a $760 million equal pay liability. A technology project that exploded from 19 million to over 100 million. And layered on top of that, the 184 million Commonwealth Games cost still being absorbed. Yes, Birmingham exited formal bankruptcy in February 2026. But that doesn't mean recovery. It means survival. And this is the city now expected to host an event with a $40 million budget and a $33 million gap. The city has already committed around $30 million just to secure hosting rights. And residents are pushing back, openly questioning why services were cut while millions were spent on an international event tied to high-profile figures. And here's the tension nobody is addressing directly. If the funding doesn't come through, Birmingham cannot absorb the loss. It's not built to. And neither side, the council nor the foundation, has publicly explained what happens if the gap remains. That silence is not empty. It's loaded. Because at this point, this isn't just about numbers anymore. It's about timing, exits, decisions, and patterns aligning in a way that starts to look less like coincidence and more like a slow unraveling. A funding structure that depends on money that hasn't arrived. Sponsors that haven't stepped forward. A government pledge that isn't fully real yet. A major backer that walked away. An entire country that chose to withdraw. A host city that can't afford failure. And behind all of it, 500 veterans still training, unaware of how fragile the ground beneath this event actually is. And just when it seems like the external pressure is enough to break it, the internal numbers begin to tell an even darker story. And just when the external pressure already looks impossible to survive, the internal numbers begin exposing something far more unsettling. Because this isn't just about money missing, it's about where the money that did arrive actually went. The Invictus Games Foundation's own charity commission filings tell the story, line by line, number by number, without commentary, without defense, just raw data sitting there, waiting to be read. And when you start reading, the first number hits like a shock. Direct grants to veteran organizations dropped from 534,973 to 200,328 in 2024. That's a 63% cut to the most direct form of support the foundation exists to deliver. Now hold that drop in one hand, and then look at what happened at the exact same time in the other. Income didn't fall, it rose by 41%. Cash reserves didn't shrink, they grew to 2.3 million. Executive structure didn't tighten, it expanded, with a new 6-figure role added. Deferred income money collected but not yet spent quadrupled from 431,950 to 1.79 million. So the foundation had more money, more reserves, more structure, and yet the direct support to veterans fell by nearly 2/3. That's not a fluctuation. That's a decision. And nowhere in the filings is that decision explained. Then another number appears: legal fees, jumping from 45,000 to 150,000 in a single year. No breakdown, no context. Just a tripling of legal costs at the exact moment scrutiny around the organization was increasing. And then something even harder to ignore: a payment of approximately 30,000 to an American company called Dunes LLC. No description, no service explanation, no follow-up. And in the next year, it disappears entirely. Appears, then vanishes, without a single public line explaining either moment. And yet, publicly, the foundation continues to repeat one figure: 92% of every pound goes toward charitable activities. That sounds reassuring until you look at what charitable activities actually includes. Event logistics, staff salaries, executive pay, travel, broadcast infrastructure, operations, all necessary, all real, but not the same as direct veteran support. So both numbers exist at the same time, 92% spent on operations, and only 200,328 reaching veteran organizations directly. That's not a contradiction. It's a redefinition. And once you see that, the entire financial structure starts to look different. Because now the question isn't just where is the missing 33 million? It becomes what exactly is this system prioritizing? And that question gets sharper when you compare scale. Vancouver 2025 cost around 63.2 million Canadian dollars for 543 athletes. Meanwhile, the US Warrior Games run on roughly $2 million per year. Germany runs a similar program for around $200,000. Different models, different costs. But the contrast forces one uncomfortable realization: this is an expensive structure to sustain. And sustaining it requires trust. Trust from sponsors, governments, professionals, and that's exactly where the next fracture appears. People are leaving. Melanie Poole, vice chairman of the Board of Trustees for Birmingham 2027, resigned, not a peripheral figure. A senior leader with deep institutional credibility across the UK charity sector. The kind of name that reassures funders and regulators. Gone, no public explanation. Just timing aligned perfectly with rising scrutiny. And it doesn't stop there. Because behind the scenes, recruitment itself is breaking down. Experienced event professionals, the kind required to deliver a multi-nation competition, are declining roles once they learn who the employer is. Conversations end the moment Invictus is named. That's not hesitation. That's rejection. And it creates a new kind of crisis, an operational one. Because this isn't a small event. It requires coordination across 23 nations, venues, security systems, logistics, broadcasting, ceremonies, and there are only 15 months left. Without experienced leadership, timelines don't stretch, they collapse. So now, the picture sharpens into something much more serious than a funding gap. It's a convergence. Money not secured, sponsors not returning, government stepping back, leadership stepping down, talent refusing to step in. And at the center of all of it, one final, critical truth emerges. This isn't just another project. This is the last remaining platform. Because when you trace everything else Centabale, where Harry stepped down after a breakdown with the chairman, Arcuwell, where $7.5 million was spent against $3.1 million raised with only $1, $8 million in grants, African Parks, where governance controversies surfaced, the Netflix deal underperforming, Spotify ending, speaking income shrinking. Every other pillar has weakened, shifted, or fractured. What remains is Invictus, the one platform that still holds real credibility, real purpose, real impact. And that's exactly why its current position matters more than anything else. It's whether the system, as it currently exists, is capable of finding it in time. Because if it isn't, if the timelines slip even slightly, if the next sponsor doesn't come, if another exit happens, then the moment Harry stood on that stage and said this is just the beginning won't mark the start of something new. It will mark the moment everything that followed began quietly falling apart. And the most unsettling part? There are still 15 months left, and not a single clear answer for what happens if the clock runs out.